Welcome to Brookside Side Chats. I'm your host, Pojo. I'm joined today by Taco, Brooklyn, and our lovely guest, Landry.
You forgot my name, didn't you?
Shush.
We've been friends for how long?
Anyways,
Side chats.
Side Chats.
So what's today's topic?
Today's topic is overrated attractions. So this could be anywhere from Mount Rushmore, Statue of Liberty, Leaning Tower of Pisa.
The overrated attraction that white men have to podcast making?
Yes.
Oh shit.
Anyways, starting with the brunch, let's start with you. Starting clockwise, Taco.
I'm still thinking of mine. You know? Yeah. Can
Okay, Brooklyn, you're up.
So, I would say the Mall of America because in all reality, like it's just a giant mall, and like I mean, outside of like I guess the kind of like wimpy little like roller coaster, whatever they have going on there, there's really nothing like else to do. Like, oh, cool. We went to 2 Build-A-Bears. Wow. Whoa. You can buy some flavored oxygen. That's an actual store. Whoa.
Flavored
I've
oxygen?
been to one of those before. They're actually really cool.
Oh, wait,
But I
is
mean,
it
you gotta.
I want to go back to the flavored oxygen. I'm curious. What is it?
I don't
be
know.
scented?
So
I think so.
essentially, it's scented. They call them oxygen bars, and depending where you go, some of them will promote that these certain scents, incense, or whatever.
Oh, it's that kind of stuff. Okay, I was thinking of the vape shots.
It's
Like
it's
is
like
it like
a step down from there.
Okay. All right.
Except they like give you tubes with actual oxygen.
It's
Wow.
not like it's nicotine or anything. It's
Yeah,
just
no,
like,
it's just oxygen with flavor.
I'm
Is
less
it
excited
like-
now.
Is it like that cocktail of oxygen that they give astronauts, or is it like pure oxygen that'll get you high?
I think it's just like a mixture of like
Yeah.
multitudes.
So air?
Yeah,
Yes.
basically. So
Air that smells good.
and then like I don't know, it's just multi-level. It's just a big structured thing. And to be honest, like if you like walk around, it's nothing really iconic about it. Nothing really memorable. It's
I don't
just-
know. That could be like a case of overhyping, but I don't know if it's necessarily bad. Because like what you're describing sounds like a good time to me. Like if I hadn't grown up all my life hearing about Mall of America, and you know I just happened to go there someday, I would be like, oh holy shit, this is kind of cool. All these stores, I like shopping, interesting things that you don't see very often. It's kind of neat. And, you know, maybe I'd go home and tell my friends. So I understand where the hype comes from, but I definitely agree because I've heard so many people talk about Mall of America where it's like, oh, this is the greatest thing in the Midwest. You have to come here and go see it.
But it's like well, I guess in our circumstance, since we live in like Omaha, Nebraska, it's a 6-hour drive, and it's just going to see like a slightly bigger mall.
Well,
Right.
I think
Well,
like taking travel out of the picture because they're gonna a lot of these places you have to travel regardless. But like what it has to offer,
Yeah.
mall's a mall to me.
Yeah,
You go there, you
it's-
shop, you spend a lot of money.
I mean, again, this came from the time when malls were all that and a hat. It's just kind of a relic of its time. Like
Yeah.
early 2000s, late 90s.
But nowadays, you know, malls are like closing left and right.
Right.
Like we recently had, what was it?
Crossroads.
Crossroads Mall being closed.
They're
Oakview is
actually-
kind of being more of like abandoned now, and
Yeah, they're turning Crossroads into more of a strip mall and apartments.
Yeah.
Like high-end stuff.
yeah, but
Which
like,
is nice. That's the next generation of malls, I guess. Shopping
it's just,
centers.
but you're seeing like this massive like decline of malls just because you have to have money to spend it there anyway
Yeah.
too, and it's just like there's other places to hang out like a park or like just bars or stuff like that. It's just nothing really that appeasing, and I mean I guess like, you know, going to a mall, like unless you like want to do a shopping spree, like if you're just going just to kind of go see the music park, I guess I could understand that circumstance. But I don't know, just whoa, Yonkers! Wow, that's so cool! Whoa, there's a Sears! Whoa!
Actually, in defense of that, I would be impressed to see a Sears at all anymore.
Oh,
Sears,
but
Blockbuster, Radio Shack.
Actually.
I would be impressed.
Whoa, there's an Old Navy. Whoa, there's like, you know, like a Vineyard Vines. Like,
good point. Moving on. Landry, your turn.
Wow. Okay. Well, if you want to cut him off like that, that's fine. I have problems with more the tourist traps that are peripheral to the bigger attractions, like Estes Park and Mount Rushmore and places like that, where you have something that's interesting where people go, and then in the surrounding area are these like villages that look like Old West movie sets, because it's just like the facade of something and then a box building behind it basically, and they're all selling the same weird ass t-shirts at these tourist traps for like a huge amount of money, and they're the same everywhere, and like even up and down the block, like you'll find the same t-shirt store 5 or 6 times, and candy stores and ice cream places and a pizza joint, some burgers, maybe a bar, more t-shirts, souvenirs, rinky-dink junk, like on repeat all over the place, and none of this is any good, and yet it's always packed.
I always fall victim to that.
I do too. I've bought t-shirts from them before.
Yeah.
I think I know what you're talking about, because let's see, in South, you're mentioning about like Mount Rushmore, so I'm thinking Keystone, because that's where like that little like, kind of townish thing, but like you'll see like the exact same like generic, like, you know, obviously not clickbait, but like
it essentially is real life clickbait kind of thing, because it always has this promise of like, ooh, you're in a strange new location, come and see this rare object that you can't get at home, but you can get it at 6 other places on the same block. And at Mount Rushmore it was worse, because, you know, it's kind of isolated up there, and you have these towns surrounding it with about 10 miles between each other or something like that. And they're just like 1 block, 2 block places, but they've all got these tourist traps in them, and it's the same tourist trap in 5 different towns with 5 t-shirt stores each selling the same thing. It's like, it's suffocating almost. Because I know when you go on road trips through the Midwest that you always come through, you've seen that picture online, right? Where it's like every Midwest town on your road trip looks like this. It's like that, but way smaller and even more exactly the same. It's like mind-numbing. I hate it.
But I wouldn't say you're going out of your way to go. Like, I wouldn't say that's like more of like an overhyped attraction. I would say more it's just kind of like taking advantage of like of that, probably that, you know, I'm trying to think of the word. Probably like that ignorant like tourist that just kind of like waltzes into town thinking like, oh, let's see what this cool area is, and then they're like, oh, they see this shirt thing. They're not nonchalantly thinking of it, but then like they see it over and over again, and they're like, oh man, maybe I can go to this one or this one or this one.
I have one rebuttal for you. Have you ever been to Waldrug?
Yep. I hate that place.
Waldrug?
There's signs for that as soon as you leave like Sioux Falls.
Because it's a big tourist attraction.
Yeah.
The biggest, I don't want to say
The
drugstore,
free, actually,
It is the biggest drugstore.
Actually, I do. Speaking of that, now I see the map I have on my back wall. They call it the free ice water store. And it's just like, what? Or they have a dinosaur exhibit. They have like some random ass.
Yep. And I went there.
Waldrug sponsor us, by the way.
I went there. It was cool. It was just like a neat, interesting experience. It was
But
like,
not
this is
like
kinda
100
weird.
miles worth of billboards.
No, I wouldn't.
Kind of thing.
I wouldn't even want to drive there, like, annually or something. Like,
Yeah.
it's not something that I'm gonna go out of my way for. And even when I
And
went
you
on
do
a trip,
have to a little bit, don't you?
because I was on a family trip. That was when we went to South Dakota, and it was on the way back. We were like, "Oh, wall drugs here. We hear all this stuff about wall drug. We gotta stop there because all these billboards." That's a tourist trap that is overhyped.
Oh, I got another one. Speaking of South Dakota too. Oh man, we're just shitting on South Dakota. Corn Palace, easily.
I've never been to Corn Palace.
I've heard a lot of it.
It's just like a little dinky little palace that they just like staple like corn onto it to make like different designs. That's it.
It's a gimmick.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
it.
but
Which-
search up Sioux City corn palaces. They went all out with their corn palaces. Like
Sioux City, Nebraska?
no, Iowa, South Sioux City is Nebraska.
Oh.
Sioux City, Iowa. Back in the early 1900s, they had, maybe late 1800s, they had annual corn palaces, and like these were proper palaces made out of corn. Search that up in your free time. But
I'm guessing they don't do that anymore.
they don't, unfortunately.
Is there going to be the corn wars where we're just trying to like one up each other with like corn palaces? Like Nebraska's going to start like trying to like
Corn cob mortars,
yeah.
and then just like popcorn explosion.
There you go.
Anyways,
There was
your point.
There was one place that I went when I was a kid with my family. I had these relatives come in from out of state, and they were visiting Nebraska, and they wanted to go to Pioneer Village. Have any of you guys heard of Pioneer Village?
Yes.
Sounds
maybe.
familiar.
Along
I don't
I-80?
even... What?
Along I-80?
I don't know if it's along I-80 or not. I know it's like closer to Kearney, I want to say.
It's along I-80.
It's a ways out there.
Mhm.
And I don't even remember what town it is because that town is so insignificant. Like, I'm pretty sure the town was Pioneer Village, the main street, a gas station, a fast food store, and you're out of there. Like, Pioneer Village is the only place that anybody in that town is making any money at all. So I went, and it was weird. It was like, you know when you go online and you see those like liminal space pictures where it's like the hollowed out malls or the, everything's stripped down. It's strangely familiar but kind of eerie.
Yeah.
It was like that. Probably because we went during the week. I want to give it the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it's a little more hopping on the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
But it was weird. I was there, I was walking around, there was nobody except like me and my family. And it's supposed to be this like mock-up village where you can experience how the pioneers lived.
Kind of like a dude ranch.
Kind of, but like more of a walk-through museum experience with some activities.
I guess
And-
the only thing I can like describe it to is Williamsburg, I think, Virginia, because that's like an actual like walk up and walk through like exhibit of like a colonial type of like palace. Or,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, that one's like popular and
Yeah,
like
it-
like proper, not taken care
Yeah,
of.
and I guess
this is just in the middle of
Nebraska has Pioneer Village.
yeah.
And you'll find postcards from this place. Like, it's well known, at least to an older crowd. It definitely had its heyday sometime in the past. But, it was that, and at the same time, they had these buildings full of, like, pedal cars and vintage regular cars and, like, mock-ups of different kinds of kitchens and bedrooms from different eras of the 20th century
That's kinda
with
cool,
like
actually.
mannequins
That's
and
creepy.
things.
Yeah.
That was creepy.
It would be a great
Okay.
place for a paintball tournament.
That
Yeah, no,
was-
I was thinking that while I was there. Actually, I was like, this would be great for capture the flag or paintball or something.
Yeah.
But it was because there were these places like that with the mock-ups of kitchens and things where it's like a maze going through this thing, and things full of like creepy dolls or knickknacks that are beyond price and age. Some of that stuff was cool, but honestly it made me sad because it's like if that kind of a place were given the kind of attention that it needs to thrive, then it could totally thrive. Like, I would go back there. If I have kids and, like, that place was hopping, I'd take my kids there. It's a cool idea.
Landry, I can totally see you telling your kids, yeah, I used to use these old cars and
the 1950s.
That's how you and me and your mom made soap.
It's possible dad joke,
Candles.
like, you know,
Oh,
material.
yeah, no.
So
God, I can't imagine, though, because if they're still running in 20 years or something like that, and I go back there, they're probably going to have, like, you know, everybody's first 2005 Ford Taurus in there somewhere, and I'm gonna like start crying because I'm gonna be like, oh Jesus,
the pioneers used
God.
to drive these poor babies.
The pioneers used to ride these babies for miles.
Yeah, so I had to think about this one because everywhere that I've been to, with the exception of Indiana, I've loved. And I can't even say much about Indiana because we were only there for like a little bit in a little part of town. Well, we're Indianapolis, but we didn't really get to explore the entire city. So maybe I'm missing out on something.
We
but
didn't go to like that big Indianapolis race, or we didn't go to like a Colts game. We didn't go.
Well, I don't care about any of that. I'm not much for sports. And it's not a tourist destination either, so you really can't speak on that.
It's just your average city.
I would if I had to throw one destination under the bus, and I still like this place, but I think it's a little overrated, it would probably have to be Garden of the Gods in Colorado. Parking is miserable. You're walking through rocks, and you're not really in the mountains. You get nice views, but it's really kind of it's a little overhyped. It's, you know, you get some nice pictures out of it, but it's nothing too crazy, nothing too spectacular. The first time it's cool, but if you've been there the second time or third time, it's like, okay, that's you know.
If I recall, it's like walking through the Desert Dome without the animals.
Right, it's like walking through the Omaha Desert Dome. It's like
big
that.
rocks instead of big
and they're red.
birds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with the overhypeness. I've been to Red Rock Amphitheater, which is a lot like kind of similar, but like there's concerts, and I think it's a lot cooler of an experience. And then as well as that, I also been to Sedona, Arizona, which that's just just out of the park, like easily one of the most underrated things in Arizona out there, and it's just that on like basically steroids and like such more like
so it's nice. It's just a little overhyped for what it is. I think it's free if I remember.
I do recall that, so that's good news.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about the overhyped. What is the
underhyped?
Underhyped?
Yeah, that would be the term.
Sure.
The underhyped attractions that you've gone to. Starting with you, Taco.
Yeah, okay, this one's an easy one for me. So, I went to the Black Hills last year. First time there. I've been to the Black Hills, Rocky Mountains, and just very recently the Cascades up in Washington. And I have to say, for their size, because the Black Hills are smaller, but they pack a big punch. I loved it. Custer State Park is beautiful. That's probably my favorite park that I've been to. And there's a lake in there, Sullivan's Lake, I think it's called. I'm not too terribly sure. Sullivan, something like that. It's near the Elk Point. Beautiful. It's probably top of my list. And given how much attention the Rockies get, I think the Black Hill deserves a few more. Aside from Mount Rushmore, the Black Hills would definitely.
What about Wind Cave? Have you seen that? Like,
I didn't get to it.
Shit.
Moving on to you, Brooklyn.
Okay, so for me, you know, everyone talks about the Grand Canyon, so I'm gonna ignore that. I already mentioned Sedona, which it is a fantastic location, but I actually want to mention another point in Arizona that I really do think is on its own, like a separate thing. And I would say like Flagstaff, Arizona. It's kind of like a Lincoln-sized town, Lincoln, Nebraska-sized town.
College town.
Yeah. But what's cool about it is, you got Sunset Crater, which is a dormant volcano, so you can see like all these different like areas, and you can actually walk on different lava like pathways and trailways on it too, so you kind of see your own Black Canyon in a way. There's also Walnut Canyon, which I think is really cool because it's a white just white kind of granite looking canyon, but you can see like these archaeological like finds, and like, you know, you can see where like it used to be like these like little homes for like native indigenous people. And then there's also Waipuki National, I think, like historical center, which it's more kind of like your adobe type of brick like Native American ruins with the Pueblo people. So, and that's why I like it. It's just because the history, the nature, it's just different. You see things in like, you know, orange canyons, you see things in like black canyons, you see things in white canyons, you see like this whole range of color, and it's just kind of cool because it's just all right next to one another.
Nice.
So, nature's splendor.
Yeah.
Alright. Landry.
So I don't travel too much. I haven't been outside of the country. I've seen quite a lot of the country in terms of driving through places, and to be completely honest, I don't want to say a lot more, but probably just a little bit more joy in my tourism experience on the drive, because I absolutely love driving and seeing the country and coming through these towns that have just a little bit of character in them. Like, if you start driving east, the towns will start looking a certain way versus if you start driving west. And same north and south. It's just like there's a lot of diversity of culture in the country, and the landscape changes and it affects that. So I absolutely love driving through different places in the country just to see these interesting places in this place I call home. But, you know, when I get out of the car, it's quite a lot of tourist traps. If I was going to pick, you know, my favorite destination that I've been, it's such a basic answer. But I really loved being at Estes Park. I mean, it was just a vibe.
It was really nice out there.
It really is just gorgeous country. The mountains look great. The towns look great. There's lots of fun stuff to do. It's just chill. And as long as you keep your head about you and you know that, like, everybody's out to make a buck off you, nickel and diming you for tourism money, and you just say, screw it, I'm gonna have a good time. It's not that hard. But no, I think the real joy is seeing the land on the drive, especially when you got good people in the car and good music that you're all singing along to.
So now back to you.
Niagara Falls.
Gotcha.
As kind of like what you mentioned, nature's splendor. It's beautiful to see. Lots of water rushing really fast, really far down.
It's a very natural scenic site, and you can understand why.
Oh yeah.
You see all that photography and all that.
That, and depending on which country you're at, will change how it looks.
I always wanted to see it in like the winter, because like I know I've seen like there's footage of like, you know, Niagara Falls like frozen. And
I should take a trip up there.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Well, anyways, this concludes the Brookside side chat.
There you go.
Ooh, that's
Words hard.
Anyways, today I was joined by, once again, Taco, Brooklyn, and Landry. Thank you for joining me.
Fuck you.
Yes, gladly. Anyways, thank you for listening. If you want more,
like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube.
send positive vibes. Have a good one.